The Super Over Podcast.
With me, Jemi.
And it's me, Jemi.
Okay, welcome to the Super Over, the cricket podcast, where we give you a bit of an insight as to what it's really like to be a pro player. So if you're joining us for the first time, all very relaxed, and with me I've got Jemi, of course, is a former South African international. We've got Gemma Rodrigues, who's a current Women India cricketer, so she's bringing us a bit of live action at the moment. And our special guest for today, this is really global today, all the way from Perth, Australia, we have Isa with us. Isa, so good to have you with us.
Liam, JP, Jemi, great to be on the show. Thanks for inviting me along.
Yeah.
Well, it took us about a few months to get it sorted, but thank you for gracing us with your presence. Yeah, your hot property at the moment.
No. Yes, it was a bit of a hectic summer back in the UK. So, and then I just needed a bit of a break. So this is the perfect time in quarantine.
So you mentioned earlier your husband's in the room. Is that a new thing? You recently got married?
We got married 2 years ago, yeah. So
2 years, okay.
August, yeah, September 2018.
So not really.
Not really.
So yeah, no. I mean, but the amount we kind of see each other though is, I guess, it's probably quite recent because we're constantly ships in the night. But yeah, I mean, this year is meant that we've got to spend a bit more time together. So yeah, it's been great.
Okay, awesome.
And we haven't fought once in quarantine.
That's an achievement, actually.
You're not there yet, though, Joe. You've still got a few days left, though.
Yeah, we've got 2 more days left, yeah.
Hang on, yeah.
Cool.
Isha, just tell us, obviously you're in Australia at the moment, you've got lots going on. What are the next few weeks going to have in store for you now that you've got there?
Yeah, so at the time of recording, there's the start of the Australia-India one-day series for the men. There's a conclusion of the WBBL over here, which has been incredible. It's just, yeah, it's gone from strength to strength. And I'll be involved. I sadly missed the finals of the WBBL, but I'll be involved in the Australia-India matches. So 3 one-dayers, 3 T20s, and 4 test matches, which it's amazing that Australia have been able to organise it, to be honest. And over here, it's actually, you know, once you get past quarantine, because they are so strict with people coming into the country and everyone has to quarantine, generally, I think it's pretty okay here, like in terms of restaurants are still open. I don't think the commentators will be in a bubble per se, like it was in the UK and in Dubai for you, JP, just recently.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that, to be honest. I kind of feel guilty being here because I know people are struggling a bit back in the UK.
Yeah,
okay.
I can say that we are struggling, we are jealous.
Sorry, I'm not going to post any beach photos, I promise.
Very considerate of you.
Yeah.
I feel like JP and Jemi, I need to address the fact that it has been 6 weeks since we last did a recording. I mean, Jemi, who do we blame for this? Because I think people want to know why there's been a bit of
I was thinking Isa.
Okay.
I was thinking Isha.
Yeah, same.
You guys have been busy. JP, you've been commentating over at the IPL and being an absolute star, and Jemi, you've been busy playing. So I'm loving the gold background, by the way.
The what? Oh, the gold.
I'm enjoying the gold background.
his royal background.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. I mean, we've kind of missed each other. I know Jemi went on holiday, and obviously she was playing as well, and you know, then I went on holiday, and yeah, so now here we are. You know, I think it's perfect timing because you know what, Isha, we were actually going to do just the 3 of us, and then we got the message from you saying, right, you available, so that kind of worked out well. Otherwise, who wants to listen to the 3 of us, man? We like a guest on our show and just talk a little bit about cricket and your life. So I mean, you're the star of the show today, so we Grateful to have you. Thank you.
I'm not so sure about that, but thank you. I'm still wondering though, Jemi, did you organize your background yourself?
Oh no. So
No.
this is like, okay, no, this I didn't organize it myself. Everything was last minute, and then I was like, okay, I just put a stand right there and it just came. I had gone for practice, so I got a bit late while coming back. So then by the time I reached home, so everything, but it looks pretty decent. I think I'll use this the next time also.
I'm loving it. I'm loving the colors. It's much better than mine. I've got like books and crap in the background, so I'll just move those.
It's all very coordinated. I love it, Jem. You haven't got your microphone this week. Normally you look like you're in a studio somewhere. Must have been really last minute.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was really last minute. But the mic was looking like too much, so I was like, no, it's okay. Like JP and Liam didn't have a mic, so it wasn't suiting us. I came down to your level this time. Like, no mic.
Yeah.
So down to some serious stuff, Jim. How's training going? I mean, give us a little bit of insights into what is it called, the T20 challenge, or that was
the
in
women's
Dubai?
T20 challenge.
Yeah. What was that like for you?
Firstly, it was so good to be back on the field after ages. And I think everyone, was so excited to be back on the field. And especially we had 9 days of quarantine in Mumbai and then 6 days of quarantine in Dubai. But, we all were so excited to play that it didn't feel quite long for us, because in that anticipation of when we'll get out of this room and, just go out there on the field and, do the thing we love doing, playing the sport. So it didn't, for me personally, it didn't feel pretty long. But yeah, apart from that, it was fun. We needed to follow some basic rules. We were in the bubble, so we couldn't go out. Especially when we are in Dubai, you want to go to the malls, you want to go and eat over there. But yeah, we couldn't, and that was perfectly fine with us. But yeah, apart from that, it was so good to be back on the field.
You were doing some fielding practice, I see, in your room. That was. Hey?
Now, what do you expect in a quarantine inside the room? So yeah. Fortunately, I didn't break any glasses.
What have you been doing in the last 13 days in quarantine? I mean, I'm guessing a lot of possible Zoom conversations. I mean, that's the obvious one.
Yeah.
But otherwise?
Yeah, a lot of Zoom. So I managed to, from my Fox commentary team, I managed to extract a couple of exercise goodies. So Mike Hussey's wife, actually dropped off these mammoth weights, so I've been trying to like pump some iron. Okay. And Adam Gilchrist dropped off a spin bike, so I've been trying to get fit in quarantine. And the food hasn't been too bad, actually. It's been really good. And the other thing, so me and my husband are probably the latest people ever to Harry Potter. So we've been going through every single film, and we're up to the last one tomorrow night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I've also been kept entertained with a lot of cricket on television as well. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, tomorrow is actually what is it? 3 games. It's South Africa, England. What have we got? New Zealand, West Indies, and there's one more I'm missing. Australia, India. Yeah. So we've got some good cricket tomorrow, eh?
Yeah, it's exciting. Cricket is coming back. And James, I know you're obviously going to be covering the South Africa England series, so I want to pick your brain on that. But I just want to pick Jemi. I've got a moan about the challenge because I feel for you so badly. Like 3 teams, 4 games over in like 2 seconds. And like Isha, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. As a player, is that okay? Or actually you think, guys, what's going on? This is 2020. Why have we not got like 8 teams? Why are we not trying to match what the men are doing? Because for me, I was just getting into it and then it was the final. So, I mean, Jem, obviously, I'm sure you're not going to just go crazy on me, but I mean, were you disappointed that it's over so fast, or is this just life?
I think if you ask any player, they'll obviously be disappointed because after so long, you're getting an opportunity of being in quarantine for like 14 to 15 days. And after that, you're just getting 3 to 4 games. I think per team, it was 3 games and one team just played 2 games. So it's like a bit unfair. But honestly, like,
that's
just
a massive
to be back
tease,
on the
isn't
field.
it? Yeah. That's a massive tease.
Yeah.
They're teasing you.
So, but now, I mean, I don't know what to say. They were saying that there was supposed to be a proper full-fledged IPL with at least 3 to 4 teams this year. but because of the lockdown, I mean, the plans got a bit disrupted. But yeah, I mean, we were just happy to be back on the field and play, but we would love to play many more games and have a proper full-fledged women's IPL, because that's what's going to help us develop as a team. And we don't know, we might get many exciting talents as well. So
Yeah, true.
I think it's a combination of lots of different things, actually. The women's game has just moved to another level. So many teams around the world are professional. So more and more women have the time to actually train, which is great. But no one wants to be training. For example, the England girls train at Loughborough 5 months of the year. So what they want is more cricket, more international matches throughout the calendar year, and all of these tournaments around the world now. So we have our own domestic tournament back home in the UK, which is kind of like a regional structure. We'll have the 100 next year. There's the women's BBL in Australia and the India Women's T20 Challenge, which will only go from strength to strength. I think initially, perhaps it was a case of less teams to make sure that there was enough depth initially. And I guess, Jemi, I mean, it'd be great to hear your thoughts. Just encourage a bit more competition, getting overseas players across, which is amazing. But as the women's team play more and more and domestically, I think you'll start to see more and more players coming through that can compete at that sort of level, at which point it would be a really good time to then expand the number of teams, and then you can have more games, obviously. But for me at the moment, and this is really hard for me to say as someone that comes from England, but the WBBL is probably the best female tournament in the world at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I agree to that. Yeah.
Fair point.
We'll accept that. Yeah, Jemi, I mean, I just love to see you play more teams. But I guess if there's a bit of a ceiling for a minute, there's a bit of a ceiling, so that's just natural.
Yeah.
James, talk to us about the Proteas. Starts tomorrow, obviously against England. I'm sure you're pretty scared, aren't you, right now?
Sorry?
Scared of a whitewash?
No, not actually. I mean, I base it upon.
I'm scared for you.
Okay. I look at the South African performances, individual performances in the IPL, and I think I'm very encouraged by that, by the fact that really, quite a few of the players that are playing in the series have really stepped up and put in some big performances. So I think that warrants all cricketing sort of spectators to believe that this is going to be a good series. And I know there's quite a few new names on each side being thrown into this tournament and giving guys opportunities, which is great. I mean, you want to see some new guys coming in and staking a claim within international cricket, so that's going to be good. But I'm looking at a well-fought series. I think it's going to be a close one. I'm obviously going to be backing my boys. I mean, I know it's probably 2 against 1, maybe even 3 against 1 here, but I'm backing my boys to go all the way up. Let's take it category by category. T20s. Let's go with that first. I think South Africa has always been a formidable side in T20 cricket, so I'm backing our boys to do the job. What do you guys think?
I'm backing South
Jemi?
Africa.
Jemi, here we go. Jemi, here we go.
You don't just rush. You've got to think about these answers.
No, I don't know. I just like the South African team. So, I mean, when it comes to England and South Africa, yes, I'll go with South Africa.
Wow.
Wait, you can't think that a team's going to win because you like them.
But I am just supporting them when we don't know what's going to happen next, right? See, a true fan is like that. However your team is, they'll always back them.
Exactly. There we go. Numbers don't really mean that much. Numbers don't mean that much.
I don't think you'd make it as a pundit, Jemi, just saying, well, I like this player, so averages 3. I absolutely love this. I don't think that would quite cut it. Isha, where do you see it going? What would your prediction be for the series?
Yeah, I'm going with England. I just think that there's a lot of depth there. I think Owen Morgan as a captain is just outstanding, especially in limited overs, whereby he strategically, I think he's brilliant in all those situations, and he keeps calm in tight situations. And I think the bowlers really respond to that in the field. I think with the bat as well, they've got this freedom, which has been born out of this mindset over the last 4 or 5 years of just going hard all the way through an innings. That's T20, that's one day internationals. So, and I just think there's some star quality in there as well. When you think of the likes of Johnny Bairstow, Joss Butler, Jofra Archer, Ben Stokes, I think there's just so many names to mention there. So that's why I'm going for
Quinton de Kock, Faf du Plessis, Lisa Hendricks, Keshav Man. I mean, we can all name names. I mean, what's that?
How many trophies has South Africa won?
Oh.
So,
let me stop the recording here and then
that hurt.
Low blow.
Gloves are well and truly off.
But let me say this. So apart from the the topic we're referring to, who's going to win, I think one of the things I'm really excited about is getting exposure from a commentary point of view, in international cricket. So I've had a small glimpse of it. I did South Africa, Australia earlier this year, 2 T20s. But, what's coming up over the next 6 months, particularly here in South Africa, we've got England, obviously, now with T20s and ODIs. Then Sri Lanka, we've got 2 test matches over Christmas and New Year. And then Australia comes in February, and Pakistan. I mean, this is all based on, things going well regarding the pandemic. But I'm really excited about this. And, guys, let me just share something with you quickly. So, when you in life, you get really overwhelmed by messages that you get from people in life, right? So like, let's say you play well and, you get a message from one of your cricketing heroes. I got a direct message on Instagram from Isa Guha saying, what a great job I did in the IPL. How's that? Hey, how's that? What a moment in my short broadcasting career. Hey, I'm privileged. I feel privileged. Thank you, Usha.
You weren't supposed to tell anyone that.
Why not?
It was a private message.
Yeah, fair enough. It was, but I was, I was so excited about it.
It's true. I'm going to be sincere here. Right? When I heard your voice, I was like, this is great that JP's there, and your comments were amazing. And it's always, because I've been there at the start of my commentary, I guess, career, whereby for me it was just an experience, just to kind of learn doing a bit of broadcast and trying something different. And then obviously it's evolved into now a full-time job for me, which is amazing. But I know what it's like when you first start commentary, and sometimes you are just thrown in there and you get pieces of advice from various different people, but you kind of just put there and you have to just fly. And for someone who, I watched a lot of commentary growing up. I watched a lot of cricket on television, and I would love the voices, but I would never put together like what it actually took to make a good broadcast, whether that's a presenter, reporter, commentator. And then I was kind of learning on the job, and you're not getting too much feedback. So for you to kind of sort of take to it like a duck to water, like, was, incredible. And I always, I'm always interested in seeing how people go when they first do it, and if I can offer advice, great. I mean, I obviously didn't need to help in any sort of way with you, JP, because you just did it automatically.
Well, I won't share that, but you did have a long list, but it's fine, girl.
But it is, I mean, like, and the number of opportunities now for women around the world is just fantastic. So Jemi, I'm sure we'll see you in the commentary box one day once you've finished your amazing playing career.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
She's gonna go into acting definitely.
Been inspired by JP during that.
No, because we keep talking about this like recently, because JP has been in the comm box, so to hear his experiences and the way he shares it. So yeah, I mean, it sounds fun. I mean, it's definitely challenging at the same time, but yeah, I mean, kind of thought about it. Yeah.
I was so fortunate, Isha, like in terms of the team that I was with. So we were based in Abu Dhabi, and there's another team in Dubai, another team in Sharjah. So it was a little bit scattered, but watching guys like Harsha and Ian Bishop and Danny and Darren and Lisa Staleka as well, just watching them and seeing how they go about it, and so inviting in terms of having a conversation about it and giving advice. That was probably one of my greatest experiences, being in a new environment where we just had a lot of fun, man. And Nick Etherton, who I don't know if you've worked with him, he was the producer.
Yeah.
He was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. How many times have you heard this comment? The producer makes or breaks you. And he was absolutely brilliant. So great experience. And hopefully, it'll be a starting point of evolving within that career, because as you were talking about it now, about you get thrown into the deep water and you're like, you're right, you got to sink or swim. And but it really sharpens you in terms of what you need to focus on and do, which is great. So yeah, it was a great learning experience.
Yeah, James, I think
Isa, you know why? Sorry.
No, go on, Jemi.
Go ahead. You know why Mumbai Indians won this time? I don't think you know the real reason.
Because I wasn't commentating.
Because whenever Mumbai Indians was... No, because you were commentating. So it happened, like, whenever JP was commentating, Mumbai Indians was doing well.
Okay.
But later on, I don't know. The rest of the season, I don't know what happened, like, once we were in Dubai. But until then, I was following it closely. And it so happened that when he was not commentating, they lost the game. So, yeah. Man of the match.
So, JP,
right
you were subconsciously going for the Indians, were you? The Mumbai Indians?
I actually wasn't. Interesting enough, but I've got they're close to my heart. I've played there for 3 years, so but the thing was about IPL, I was interested to see somebody new take it and just spice up the tournament a little bit. I knew that they were going to be there and thereabouts. They dominated pretty much the entire IPL and warranted they won it, but I was actually hoping for somebody new to take it, but fair to them. They were formidable, unplayable, by far the best team in the tournament. So yeah, they were good.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Isha, who do you secretly follow in the IPL? Are you Rajasthan fan because of all the England boys, or is it someone else?
Yeah, I actually have a few teams, but I would probably say the one that I'm probably most affiliated to is KKR, purely because of my Bengali roots. So my family are from Kolkata, and there's a few, like Owen Morgan's at KKR now, so that's the English connection there. But I'll always follow Raj Samuels, RCB, because everyone wants to see Kohli and AB back together. And Finchie was there obviously this year as well, so that was cool. But yeah, this year I was interested to see how Delhi got on with Ricky as coach, and the youngsters another year older, and JP, I know that they're another team that you probably follow quite closely. But I think probably if I had to pick one, if you were gonna tell me I had to pick one team, it would be KKR.
Okay,
good. Stay loyal, that's what we like.
Stay loyal. Yeah.
James, we had a little laugh about this on WhatsApp, but my favourite moment so far of your commentary career, your very early career, was definitely when you were talking about Nicholas Paran and you called him Nicky P. And he was over and over again, trying to be like Danny Morrison. Absolutely love it. Me and Jemi really love that.
Yeah, so it's such an interesting issue. You would have worked with Danny, man. What a character. And he's got that infectious kind of personality that you get involved in what he was talking about. And all of a sudden I found myself saying, come on, Nicky P. And I'm like, what are you doing? Oh my goodness. I was actually so embarrassed by it because, as a commentator, you want to bring your own flavor. You don't want to copy anybody. And all of a sudden I'm finding myself saying Nicky P. And I was like, hey, hold on.
You'll find that happens sometimes when you're just in the zone like that. You'll just say something and then you're like, oh God, did I actually just say that? And then you just have to be like, oh God, I need to just park that and move on.
Yeah.
But take note, Jemi, you need to have your own little sayings when you get into the commentary box.
So what's yours?
Noted.
What's yours?
Do you know what? I was just thinking as I said that. I don't know if I have any.
what's like a famous Isha Guha saying?
I don't know. I don't know.
So something that Danny Morrison mentioned to me, that I mean, we all have the. I mean, it doesn't necessarily. It's not a personality thing, but something that it's almost like a crutch that we keep going to, you know. And on this occasion was something that stood out for me. And every time I said it, then I had to look back, or he was next to me, and he's like, "Yeah, that's one in the box." Yeah, so that's my go-to on this occasion. I don't know if something like that is. Do you have something like that?
Yeah, I think I say absolutely a lot. When I'm not thinking about it and I'm not checking myself, I'll say absolutely. So now you're all going to notice it when I commentate.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I'm tweeting.
Absolutely.
I'm tweeting about it.
Well, we are trying to help JP as much as we can, because we do love him and we want him to fly the flag well.
That's very kind of you. Thank you, Liam.
We're always going to try and be positive. I mean, Isha, what would be the thing you say you've learnt the most from being a player and then coming into like the world of media? What was probably the biggest thing, like a bit of a culture shock or something you had to learn very fast that you didn't really expect?
Oof. Tough question.
Media is very different, isn't it? Being in the dressing room.
Yeah, it is. There are a lot of similarities though. So being in a new team, wanting to prove yourself for the team, and I guess again, when you have a coach as a player, you have lots of people kind of telling you lots of different things, and you have to pick out the things that you think are going to work for you. Okay, so one thing that I had to do sort of more early days, which I hated, was I had like watching myself back.
Oh,
so that might sound really narcissistic, but I was told like in radio, in presenting, like especially early days, I was horrendous. Like I just was so wooden. It was crazy. And I just didn't know which camera I was looking at. I looked really shy and nervous, but you have to do it. You have to watch it back so you can kind of figure out what went well, or what didn't sound too good. Like my voice. So someone sent me through a clip of me doing radio, like I don't know, maybe 9 years ago, and my voice is just changed significantly. Like I just sound way different to how I sounded like 10 years ago. But this is what I think is quite interesting actually, is that the new generation, so people like Jemi, who's so used to being in front of the camera, whether it's through doing all the YouTube stuff or the digital stuff, or I think just the girls in general, they're just spending more time in front of the camera, being asked questions, and they're developing their own style already, so that when it comes to crossing over into TV and radio, it becomes a bit more of an easier transition. Whereas for me, it was like, oh my god, like I don't know why I'm doing this. I am terrible. I didn't back myself in commentary till probably 5 years ago, just because I didn't like the sound of my voice. I didn't think it was good enough. But I just think it's become so much more normalized, and when you feel comfortable doing what you're doing, it makes a huge difference.
Is there a lot of do you go through a lot of prep work for yourself leading up to games?
Yes. Yeah, so at the start, so whenever it was 12 years ago, I'd prep so much and I'd have so many notes, and because someone once told me that preparation is key, and you may only use 3% of your notes, but they might be nuggets or something that you need for an interview or a piece of commentary or presenting. But as you do more and more, actually, because it's just lodged in your brain, you don't need them as much, and you kind of figure out what you actually need, or what stat is important for you, or because you've just seen that many games, like it's all kind of logged in your memory. You just need to kind of ask, or you know where to find that information to be able to bring it out on commentary, or There's lots of different kind of elements to broadcast. With being a presenter, it's getting the best out of your guests and really kind of trying to, they're the stars, your guests are the stars. Whereas I guess in commentary, it's a mix of telling the story, but also, again, trying to give the viewer something different, an insight. And I kind of just love that whole different side of things, really, across broadcast. And things will go wrong as well. Things will go wrong on television, and it's how you kind of navigate through those situations that I kind of enjoy as well.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, that's really insightful. Jemi, do you watch back your Double Trouble stuff?
No, I think it's the same with me. When I do it, I'm like, oh man, this episode has come out so well. So I just saw the first one because I was really excited. First time we're doing a show. But then when I saw it and I heard my voice, like how Isa said, I'm like, no, I am not going to watch this ever again. So I don't. Because you watch it, and what was I thinking? So it's really funny, but yeah, no, I don't watch it.
Oh, I'm surprised to hear that because you're so confident. You've been doing it for so long already. I mean, by the time you're 25, you'll have been doing media for 10 years already on your Instagram.
Did you guys enjoy?
I don't know. I don't.
Did you guys enjoy watching, or do you, Jemi, for you still? I mean, but Isha, when you played, did you enjoy watching highlights when it was good? Obviously, you don't enjoy watching highlights when you were having a bad game. But I mean, I've always gravitated towards when there's a good game, you want to see the highlights. But when it comes to commentary, I don't want to see myself. Yeah. It's like weird. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, in my era, like barely any of our matches were on television, so it was like a novelty to even see ourselves on television. So, but weirdly, I used to freak out on a TV game. Like I used to find them quite challenging because all of a sudden I was like really aware of the cameras.
Okay.
So, but that's obviously changed now for again players these days. So, I mean, Jemi, you must be so used to it, knowing that there are cameras on your games.
I remember my when I made my debut in South Africa, the first 3 games of our T20 weren't on TV. I mean, they were streamed live on YouTube. But then the first match was supposed to be on TV, and then I realized that okay, everyone's going to watch, and everyone in the dressing room was also saying it quite often. So as a youngster, I got a bit nervous, and I didn't do really well in that game. So I'll never forget that game. But yeah, I was nervous in front of the camera for the first time. Yeah.
But
because normally our games even
sorry.
Yeah, no, normally even our domestic games weren't televised. So that was like the first. I mean, not the first, but I mean, yeah, it was pretty new for me to play in front of the camera. So yeah, but then after that, I was fine. I got used to it.
But what about the World Cup final? Because you would never have played in front of 80,000 people like that, and knowing that the eyes of the world were on the team, and this was a real opportunity for India and stuff like that. Like, was it the sense of the occasion? I guess that made you more nervous, or the fact that everyone was watching? I mean, how did you feel?
Honestly, before the match, we were practicing at MCG on the main ground in the center. We are having fielding practice, and then Raman sir, our head coach, called us and he said, "You know what? Tomorrow, I just want all of you to just enjoy this moment." He said, "If in my life I would ever get an opportunity, I would like to be in this moment that you all are in." So he told us, just don't think about it's a World Cup final or it's a pressure situation. So many people are there. Just enjoy this moment because it's never going to come. I don't know when you all will get another opportunity to play in front of 84,000 people. So, him saying that made a lot of sense for all of us. And honestly, I wasn't that nervous, obviously, because it was a World Cup final and my first final. So I was a bit nervous about that. But once the game started, I wasn't really nervous about that. But yeah, just walking in that place, I mean, we were like 1.5 hours early before the match started, but the stadium was almost fully packed. Wow. And that was crazy because I heard my teammates saying this before, that they played on the same ground and just 4 people on the ground. But for them to see this whole stadium packed and play in front of such a big crowd was crazy. So just imagine that, and yeah, it was a great moment for women's cricket.
No, it's awesome, man. Awesome.
You can have many more of those, Jem, as well. So get used to it.
Yeah.
It's going to be your last one. So much love.
There'll be a women's IPL match at some stage in your lifetime, Jemi, when you're still playing, whereby it'll be a packed stadium.
And hopefully we're working on that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can come up with a little nickname for her.
Yeah, double trouble. Woo.
It's so encouraging to hear every time we talk to Jem. I mean, she's just an absolute hero. She's going to be around for so long. Isha, for what you're doing now, how privileged do you feel that even though you're not a player anymore, you get to be so close to the action? And as you said, women's cricket is exploding now, and you're pretty much one of the first people to see it, talk about it. Is that a great place to be?
Oh, it's a dream. Yeah, I mean, just to do what I do, still be involved in cricket in some capacity, it's fantastic. And that World Cup final, I mean, I called Mel Jones the night before. We were pretty much crying on the phone. Like, we just knew how big a moment it was. And it wasn't just for, the people in the stadium, the people watching around the world. It was for all the female cricketers that had gone before to lead up to that moment. And that's who we were thinking about when we were doing our broadcast, and just had this kind of like really giddy feeling, like being high on life sort of thing. And then strangely, like it all came crashing down with obviously what happened with the pandemic, and it's still happening. And it just kind of, it was a bit of a whirlwind couple of weeks, to be honest, because we had that final, and then like 2 or 3 days later, I was back home in the UK in lockdown, and it gives you a chance to reflect, I guess, and gives you a bit of perspective at just how lucky I am to do what I do, and we, the opportunity to have a platform now to use our voice to kind of promote good and be able to make change, meaningful change as well. I think is something that is really come to the forefront of my mind over the last 6 months or so as well.
Yeah, I had the privilege of being on a conversation. We were talking about when BLM just came into the fore, and it was interesting to hear some of the stories and experiences that you had. But like I make that point not to elaborate on it, but more just to highlight the fact that you certainly are wanting to use your platform now to really create change, not only in the game of cricket, but more specifically in the women's game. So that's great to see, man. Yeah.
Amazing. Right, Jake, should we finish with some questions?
Yes, please, sir.
My favourite bit. Power to the people. Right, Jemi had this question in this morning.
Nobody proposing? Anyone proposing this time?
Well, yeah, I did think about snapshotting the "Will you marry me?" but I keep telling people, JP and I, we need to sieve through these people to make sure they're good enough. So we have time to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, Jemi, why are the boundaries in women's cricket still small, even though you're all now hitting big sixes?
Firstly, I would take that as a compliment for women's cricket. Someone saying that, it means a lot to all of us. But yeah, over the years, if you go to see, women's cricket has developed so much, and now you see, all these guys not just clearing the boundaries, but like hitting it in the stands. So, I mean, it's great, but I'm the wrong person to ask this question. Like, why are the boundaries still small? I think you should go and ask the people who set the rules for us.
All right, good deflection. It's a great point, though. I mean, I think we're at the point now when I think that's a bit unnecessary.
Okay, Liam.
Right, Japes.
Yep.
A question: how does your Christian faith play a role in keeping your nerves under control when you play cricket? Does it play? It might not play a role, but
no, I mean it does. I mean, for me, it was always about a greater purpose in why I was where I was and what I was doing. So for me, it was more than just playing the game. It was understanding that I'm a representation of who I am and who I am in my faith. And that was a big driver for me. So yes, it calmed the nerves to a certain degree, but when you're in a high pressure moment, pressure situations, those kind of things, you forget to think about the real important things in life. So you get a bit cluttered, but I was always aware of trying to come back to the I guess the true identity of who I was, and that was a great driving force for me. So yeah, I did play a big part actually.
That just reminds me, Jem, didn't you say once when you walk out, you're singing a song or you pray before you face each one or something? What did you say?
No, I normally sing a song in between just to keep my nerves. Sachin sir had told me, Sachin Tendulkar, so he had told me that, you are best as a batter when you're just reacting to the ball and not premeditating. But if you keep thinking about what the bowler is going to bowl next, and your body will react a certain way, but when you have a blank mind and you just react to the ball, that's the best you can play. So he said you can do, this is what he used to do sometimes. He used to either think about, sometimes he said just stupid things like, okay, which boxing game is going to be on TV, or he said you can either sing a song. So I'm like, I love music, so I can try that. So yeah, I do sing songs, and sometimes even quote the scripture from the Bible just to get my focus on that, and that helps me keep calm. So yeah.
Wow, awesome.
I'd love to be an umpire with you walking past me.
One umpire actually heard me singing. This was in the World Cup, the first game against Australia, and I was humming a tune. And I think he said this before on the podcast. And then he was like, he's looking all around, and he's like, were you the one singing? I got a bit embarrassed. I'm like, yeah, I was. And then he's like, no, you sing really well. I was like, thank you.
Amazing. Okay, Isha, what's the biggest difference that you see between young subcontinent players and young English players?
Oh, what, male or female?
I suppose it's up to you.
Biggest difference now or over time?
I reckon they're trying to get a technical. Do you see anything in the way that people are brought up in the subcontinent that means you're a different player than we are over here?
Yeah. I think actually in modern times there's less of a difference actually. Subcontinental players, they're traditionally known for being really wristy and kind of working the ball and being able to play spin incredibly well. But I feel like just with the global game as it is, players from England are going to India to learn how to play spin. They're going to Australia to learn how to play on fast bouncy pitches. And I think there's a bit more crossover with all the franchise tournaments as well. So I don't know, I feel like that's changed drastically. And I think also the mentality of maybe subcontinental players, I don't know, certainly Indian players, I feel like there's a lot more confidence there from young players coming into the game. And almost they're not afraid as maybe they might have been in the past. I don't know. I'd like to throw that to JP and Jemi as well.
So I first want to make this point. So if you remember, maybe a few minutes ago, Isha said that when you're in the broadcasting world, there are times when things go wrong and you learn to deal with it. That was a moment for Isa Guha there, where she didn't know how to answer that question. And she worked it so well, just posing questions back to you, giving her some time to think. That's called experience.
You worked me out pretty quickly there, JP.
Oh, she sent it your way, JP, so pressure's on you now, mate.
Did you not see it? I did the same thing there. So yes,
I'm throwing it back to Jemi.
Yeah, so I actually agree with what Isha said there. I think the modern game has really brought teams from all different conditions closer together. And I think, if you look at the IPL as one version of the tournament, because you have so many international coaches as well being involved in Indian cricket, they have a big influence in the way they play, not only technically but mentally as well. And we've all seen it. I mean, India is one of the best teams in the world now in all formats, and I believe a big contributor to that has been the IPL in the influence of international players and coaches that have had on the Indian players. So yeah, I actually agree with that point as well.
Good answer, man. Good question. Saved there. Saved, Molly. Well done. That's what we do in the comment box.
That's what we do. Yeah, we look after each other.
Okay, one final one, which is kind of to everyone, so I'm just going to bounce it around quickly. Start with you, Jemi. What do you do to change your mood after a bad game or just a bad day? What do you do?
I would listen to some music and maybe sleep off. That's what I would do.
Me, I would try and take the pressure off myself or the focus off myself and actually try and invest into somebody else. I think if I'm doing that, then I feel like I'm doing something for someone, as opposed to just sort of wallowing in your self-pity and feeling sorry for yourself. It's not always easy. I mean, we love sometimes as players, we love to sit in our rooms and just, feel sorry for ourselves. Borderline depression in a way sometimes. But yeah, if I'm conscious about it, that's something that I love doing.
Okay. Last word to you, Isha.
I really like that from JP, actually, because I would probably be in my room having a glass of whiskey.
I was waiting for someone to mention that.
No, I actually need to spend time with people that I get on really well with and can have fun with, and that again just takes me away from thinking about all the negative thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. We hope it's only a single and not a double, but we'll never know.
I can only handle a single.
Leave that open.
No,
well, yeah, that's been so encouraging. Hope listening to this, you felt you've got a little nugget of advice from one of us. And yeah, thank you so much, Isha, for your time. And obviously all the best with starting tomorrow, obviously Australia, India, and Jape similarly with your South Africa, England.
Thanks, mate.
And yeah, we will reconvene. But yeah, Isha, thank you for joining us. It's been great to catch up.
Thanks, Isha. All the best.
Yeah, it's been really nice seeing you all. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.